Hey everybody, what's up? And today I've got another project that I'm going to be working on, and if you have been following me on Facebook, you've probably seen this little cool ring that I just made recently. It's Damascus. I called it a hammered Damascus look. It's pretty cool. If it wants to focus, it'll show you. You can see all the little lines and everything like that. Came out pretty sweet. So today what I've got is I've got a plate of 1/8 mild steel, and I've got a stencil, and I'm going to do a project here in the future that you'll see. But first I want to make sure my logo comes out, and you'll notice some of the things that are on here are pretty intricate works, so I want to make sure this comes out right. And I had my boy Montana Straight make these for me, and these are stencils, so these are reversed. And I want to double check to make sure that the acid, I'm going to try and acid etch the steel. This is just a smaller version of what I'll be doing. Same type of steel though. And I want to make sure it etches this logo into it, and to make it kind of look old-timey, kind of give it a worn feel to it. So we're going to give it a shot and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to take my steel, and the steel is just been sitting around, so it needs to be prepped a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and brush it off and then wipe it off here quick. About the same size as my stencil, yeah, give or take. All right, looks good. Take my ring off, put that in the el paqueto. Here we go. All right, that was pretty easy. Take some good old brake cleaner. Wipe her down. So we've got a good area to adhese to. Adhere, I think the word is what I was looking for earlier. All right, should be ready and pretty clean. And what I've got here is I've got a couple glasses here. Rule of thumb, measure twice, cut once, or in this case, measure once, lay down once. Always label your jars, and eat lunch elsewhere. It's the best advice I can give you, okay? So I've got one that says Windex, and I also have one that has WD-40 in it for parts that need like just a quick WD-40 bath. And what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna lay down my stencil, but of course I forgot my small squeegee. Be right back. All right, got my squeegee. And what I'm gonna do, make sure this gets down nice and smooth before I pull it off. Again, lots of little intricate pieces here, so hopefully this will pull off nicely. We'll get a nice clean transfer. Okay, it looks like we've got the A and the D there still left. All right, that's okay. We'll transfer those in just a second. Again, this is just a test of what I'm really doing to see if this works. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna try something else, but you know, figured I'd take you along for the ride anyway. Nice and tight on there. There we go. Yep. We don't want any sort of gap or anything for the acid to kind of etch around it. Go this nice and thin here. All right, so far so good. Small little bubble areas, but I think that's, yeah, that's just a piece of the steel. All right, little cutout of the D here. There we go, finally. It's not 100% straight, but that is a little harder than it looks. Oh yeah, so this little triangle A is gonna be a pain in the butt. Here we go. Doesn't want to come off at all. Oh no, 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 no. It's just kind of floating there. Well, again, thankfully this is an experiment. This is not the real deal. This is just a test, folks. Okay, I got everything set. I'm gonna put on my just basic dust mask for this. And we've got our plate, okay, hopefully the negative of it. And I'm gonna need some muriatic acid. Hold on. Muriatic acid, you can get this pretty much at any hardware store. It's usually used for pools, and you have to be very careful with it because it is an acid. Don't get it on your skin, obviously. Use a plastic cup that is meant for acid. I'm just gonna use a very small amount here because I'm gonna be trying to dip this with a Q-tip and then kind of moving it around, okay? So I'm gonna take my Q-tip, stick it in my acid. Now, usually to get a decent etch on steel, it will take 10 or so minutes for it to start doing its thing. So we'll see how this goes. Again, we've got some pretty intricate designs here. Hopefully this works. If not, well, maybe we'll try a different method of doing this. Maybe we'll get a sandblaster and, you know, sandblast it away. But that's why we do the tests. Okay, whew, this stuff stinks. This stuff stinks. Woo. If it isn't obvious, do this in a well-ventilated area with some fans going. Put eyeglasses on. Do your safety checks, right? Safe is good, okay? Now, once I'm all done with this, I'm gonna give it another 15 minutes, but we can neutralize this with good old-fashioned Windex, okay? You can use a baking soda and distilled water mix. That works well, too. But Windex is cheap and available, and I didn't have any baking soda and distilled water on hand. Don't know why, but just didn't. So Windex was cheap and readily available. And you can already see, it's only been a couple minutes, and you can already see it starting to change color. Let's get a close-up of this. Can already start to see a change in color. I'm not going to touch this with my hands, but already the etch is starting to work. So I might pull down another layer or two here to see how much it needs. But again, 10 to 15 minutes should be enough to give you a solid line in the etch. Give it one more coat of this acid. Kind of put it on nice and thick. Now really what this is I'm just really testing to see if the stencil works and how well I can etch the plate so that when I make my final piece, is this a viable option for me to etch a design into my workpiece? And if it is, cool. If not, fine, but I just want to know. I need to know. Went online, could not find anything viable with muriatic acid etching, so it's at least rusting, so I'm not sure if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but it looks like we've got some discoloration. You see the tip of my Q-tip there is starting to rust as well. We'll just kind of keep dousing it. Let's fast forward 15 minutes. All right, it's been about 15 minutes, and what I've noticed is that, remember it was starting to turn a little bit brown. Well, that turned from like brown to black to then like light gray. So let me look, see some of the dark spots have turned to light gray now. And so there's some dark spots, and that's okay. A little bit of discoloration is okay, because again, we don't want it to look machine made. We want this to look, you know, kind of old timey and hopefully worn and used a little bit. So let's go ahead and I'm going to neutralize this. As soon as I get the camera all set up, there we go. I'm going to neutralize this with, again, my trusty Windex. Okay. Never have too much, right? And I'm going to let that sit. So you can see what the Windex does to the acid, right? That neutralizes the acid in that way. That's kind of what natural reactions will be. So yeah, you never have too much. So give that a good minute to sit. Just okay. Okay. Let us see how we did. Pull this up. Oh, I really stuck that on there pretty good. That stuff does not want to come up, tell you what. Oh my. Okay, so there was a wasp in here that just fell into my WD-40 mixture. And I would feel bad, but it's a wasp and they're jerks. Okay. So, back to more important things like not getting stung by a wasp. Okay. So, pull all this junk off. Holy cow, there's a lot of junk. I'm liking the results so far. This might take a minute to pull all this stuff off, so bear with me. Let's see how our little A did. Remember that little point that was kind of giving me trouble? Hey, look! Yeah, turned out all right. Got a little A there. How did our D do? Oh, our D did not turn out very well. The D here, as you can see, must not have stuck very well, but hey, that's all right. That just makes it look you know, old and old-timies, right? That was the goal. So let's go ahead and peel this off. All right, that comes off much easier now. Okay. I will say that is a pretty darn good etch, if I do say so myself. A little bit of adhesive still on there. Let's see if I can scrape that off. But I think that turned out really slick. You know, check that out. All right, let's get in here. Okay, so really good intricate design. I mean, we've got these really small little pieces here in the little wolf's ear. If people are not familiar, McClellan is an old Scottish name, which kind of goes back to the 14th century a little bit, and it means son of the wolf. So hence the little wolf's designs, and I thought this was pretty cool. So let's see, did it etch very far? No, not a ton. I know it's hard to see this, but there is, you can barely feel it with your fingernail. So if I were to, I'd probably go in here and spray paint this to give it, you know, just a clear coat to make it stay so it doesn't rust. But I don't know, maybe a little bit of surface rust wouldn't kill it too bad. But overall, yeah, it's not very deep, but I am impressed with the detail that is in it. If you look at the little teeth even, you can see the little individual teeth in its mane, and the letters I think came out great. So because this isn't really deep, for future use, what I'd probably do is maybe do more time etching, but then I'll probably also do a couple extra layers, so grab a little bit more acid and then kind of just keep dipping it on there. So for future, that's probably what I'm going to do, make this a little bit deeper, a little bit more pronounced, and then I'll probably hit it with the whole piece. You'll see the full piece I'm making, but hit the whole piece with some lacquer so it'll kind of lock this color in. All right, second learning that I have, and this is all done, and I've hit it with some lacquer to kind of lock it in. Okay, so I de-stressed it a little bit to make it a little bit older, just kind of use my wire brush to kind of go over it real lightly, give it that kind of, it's still used, but not quite old enough to have died look. Now, here's what I learned. I hit it with the lacquer, which is good, but here's just a lesson that I learned. Look at this. Look at this. You can see the line of the sticker that I used for the stencil. And why is that important? Because now that I've put lacquer on it, you can see the outline. So this is a lesson to me, and I'm glad I did this test so this doesn't end up on the real product. But to tape off all the areas that you're not going to do, because I think that acid does, so one of two things. Either it comes up with the, some of this stuff pulls up with the sticker, as you can see it clearly does, but also the acid kind of, either fogs or something over the steel itself. So yes, this does work. It works excellent. It looks very cool in my opinion. It looks period correct, but make sure you tape off all the edges, the rest of the piece you're using, so you don't get this harsh little line. So again, totally works. Glad I did it. Glad I did the experiment. Learned a lot of lessons, and hope you did too.